You don't owe the world an explanation. Not for your goals, not for your hustle, not for your silence. You weren't born to convince, you were born to conquer. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them assume. While they're busy trying to decode your silence, you're building an empire brick by brick, moment by moment, in complete focus. The loudest in the room is often the weakest. Those who talk too much, they're bleeding energy. They waste their fire on proving themselves instead of improving themselves. But the one who stays quiet, the one who moves in silence, that's the threat. That's the real storm coming. You see, the minute you start focusing only on yourself, truly locking in, you become dangerous. Because most people are addicted to distraction, addicted to noise. They look left, they look right, always watching others, measuring their own value through someone else's life. That's a losing game. Winners don't watch. Winners work. Winners don't announce. They apply pressure. Winners don't explain. They execute. You don't need to broadcast your every move. Silence is not a lack of words. It's the presence of power. It's control. It's discipline. It's knowing when to speak and when to let your results do all the talking. Every time you choose yourself, you level up. Every time you stay silent and focused, you separate from the crowd. The grind is lonely. The path is quiet. But that's where greatness grows. In the dark, in the discipline, in the silence. Stop sharing your goals with people who aren't even chasing their own. Stop waiting for validation from people who wouldn't clap for you if you won. This is your season to disappear and develop. Banish to evolve. Shut the noise down so you can hear yourself think, hear yourself plan, hear yourself rise. You are the project. You are the mission. You are the standard. Not them, not their timeline, not their opinion, not their approval. Every day you wake up, the war is the same. Beat the old you. Get sharper. Get colder. Get more focused. Let the world wonder what you're building. That mystery is your weapon. And when you finally show up, not to talk, not to explain, but to deliver, they'll understand exactly why you were silent, because you weren't hiding. You were sharpening your sword. Your energy is your currency. Every minute, every thought, every breath you give to something, it costs you. Most people are broke not because they don't have time, but because they spend their energy recklessly. They waste it watching others, talking about others, competing with others who aren't even in their lane. They're rich in distractions and poor in direction. Energy doesn't lie. You can fake a smile, you can fake confidence, but you cannot fake presence, focus, or work ethic. And all three are born from how you spend your energy. When you lock in on yourself fully, completely, obsessively, you begin to realize just how much you were giving away for free. All those arguments that led nowhere, all that scrolling that fed your doubt, all that time trying to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Gone, wasted, and for what? The second you start focusing only on yourself, your world shifts. You stop bleeding energy. You stop chasing validation. You stop measuring your worth by how many likes, followers, or opinions you collect. And you start investing everything into the only asset that will ever pay you back with interest. You. Your mind is a machine. Your focus is fuel. You either feed your fire or you drain it. Every time you gossip, compare, complain, or compete with someone else's path, you're handing over your fire log by log until there's nothing left but smoke and regret. You don't need to keep up. You need to lock in. You don't need to prove them wrong. You need to prove yourself right. This isn't about them. It never was. It's about starving every distraction and feeding every discipline. Because when you focus, really focus, you realize that most of what pulls your energy isn't even real. It's illusion. It's noise. It's the fear of being left behind in a race that was never meant for you. What's rare today is someone who's silent and working. Someone who's not broadcasting their every move. Someone who knows their value, protects their peace, and directs their energy like a sniper, calculated, intentional, and deadly. That kind of person becomes unstoppable because they're not caught up in what everyone else is doing. They're building quietly while the rest are clapping for attention. Oh, you've got 24 hours, same as anyone else, but what separates winners from watchers is not time, it's energy. Focused energy over time creates transformation. Scattered energy creates cycles. The difference between leveling up and staying stuck, it's where your energy goes the moment you wake up. Is it going toward your growth or their approval? Toward your vision or their noise? Stop outsourcing your energy to things you can't control. You don't control their opinions. You don't control the algorithm. You don't control the timeline. You control your discipline. You control your attitude. You control how sharp your sword is when your time comes. And when it does, all the energy you invested in silence, in solitude, in self, it shows up as power. You are the plug. You are the source. You are the fire. But only if you protect your energy like gold. Because that's what it is. And once you learn how valuable it really is, you stop spending it like it's free. You stop showing up for people who wouldn't do the same for you. You stop explaining your grind to those who never understood the game. You stop leaking, and you start leading. The world isn't looking for another loud voice. It's watching for that silent force, the one who walks in the room and doesn't have to say a word. Why? Because their energy speaks. Their focus commands respect. Their silence says everything. You can feel it. You want to win? Control your energy. Stop giving away your power. Focus only on yourself. And stay silent while you build. Silence is a strategy, not a weakness. People mistake stillness for softness and quiet for compliance. Let them. That mistake is your advantage. Because while they're talking, you're training. While they're showing off, you're sharpening your edge. While they're chasing attention, you're building in shadows. And when you finally step into the light, you don't need noise to announce your arrival. Your presence says enough. The world is obsessed with noise, status updates, opinions, highlights. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, noticed, praised. But when you fall into that trap, you start performing for the crowd instead of building for your mission. You begin speaking your dreams in the rooms that don't deserve to hear them. You tell your plans to people who secretly hope you fail. And worse, you start believing that the applause means progress. It doesn't. Silence builds. Noise distracts. You don't need to post every move. You don't need to announce every milestone. The minute you speak your plans too soon, you risk feeding them to the wrong ears. Jealousy doesn't always come with a warning. Sometimes it wears a smile, and sometimes it's watching your every step, just waiting for a crack in your armor. That's why silence is power. It keeps your path protected. There's a reason real growth is quiet. Seeds grow underground. Muscles grow in pain. Wealth grows in discipline. And every level you rise to will require less talking, more action. Because the higher you go, the less explaining you need to do. When your results are loud, your words can be few. When your focus is deep, your circle gets small. You don't need 10 people clapping for you, you need one person who understands. And even that, in time, becomes a luxury. Think about the times you've spoken too soon. How many dreams died in conversations they never belonged in? How many goals got watered down by opinions you never needed? How many times did you feel the pressure to prove something, simply because you told people what you were going to do instead of showing them when it was already done? Speaking early puts weight on your back that doesn't belong there. It makes you accountable to people who aren't even walking your path. Silence removes that weight. It frees you to move smart, light, and fast. And no, silence isn't about hiding. It's about handling business without the distraction of noise. It's about building your kingdom without inviting everyone to the construction site. Because when too many voices are in your ear, you stop hearing your own. You lose clarity. You lose instinct. You lose that fire that made you start in the first place. Silence keeps your fire lit, protected from the wind of outside influence. There's a reason the most dangerous people in any room are the ones who don't talk much. They observe, they calculate, they strike when it counts. No wasted movement, no wasted words. That's not weakness. That's control. That's discipline. That's strategy. And that's what wins long term. The truth is that the world doesn't need to know what you're doing until you've already done it. You don't owe anyone access to your process. Let your work speak. Let your results echo. Let your silence make them wonder how you did it. Confusion is a weapon. When they can't read you, they can't predict you. And when they can't predict you, there's a time to speak, yes. There's a time to stand tall and roar, but only when it matters. Only when the foundation is solid. Only when your moves are undeniable and your path is already carved. Until then, stay low, stay focused, move with intent, and say nothing unless it's necessary. Because when you do speak, it should shake the room, not fill the space. Stay silent, not because you're weak, but because you're building strength that doesn't need to be announced. You're crafting a life that will speak for itself. One day, the ones who doubted you will scroll through your success wondering how you did it. Let them ask, let them guess. But never explain. That's not your job. Your job is to execute quietly, relentlessly, without distraction, without noise. Because silence isn't the absence of words, it's the presence of power. Comparison is the thief with many faces. Sometimes it looks like admiration, sometimes it hides behind inspiration, but more often than not, it's a slow poison. It starts quietly, scrolling through someone else's life, watching their wins, their pace, their highlight reel. And before you realize it, your own journey starts to feel small. Your pace feels slow. Your wins feel invisible. That's the trap, because the moment you look left and right, you lose sight of what's ahead. You lose yourself. Everyone has their own clock, their own storm, their own war to fight behind the scenes. What you see on the surface is never the full picture. Yet we compare our real life with someone else's curated moment. Their post-workout photo, not their 4 a.m. struggle. Their celebration, not the years of rejection behind it. And we internalize that illusion like it's fact. Like they're better, faster, further, but they're not you. They don't have your scars, your story, your mission. You were never meant to be like them. You were built for your own path. And your timeline, your progress, your growth, it's sacred. The more time you spend watching others, the less time you spend mastering yourself. Comparison doesn't just steal your joy, it steals your discipline, it steals your drive, because when you're busy measuring someone else's progress, you're no longer rooted in your own. Tunnel vision isn't just focus, it's survival. It's how you protect your energy from the noise. It's how you stay locked in when the world tries to distract you with glitter and noise. Because here's the truth. Most of the people you compare yourself to wouldn't last a day in your shoes. They don't carry your weight. They haven't fought your battles. They don't bleed like you do when no one's watching. So what are you really comparing? Greatness doesn't come from watching others. It comes from watching yourself, from auditing your own habits, from beating your own records, from waking up every single day asking, how do I level up from yesterday? Not how do I outshine them, how do I outgrow me? That's the only race worth running, the only metric that matters, because when it's all said and done, you won't be judged by how many people you outdid. You'll be judged by how far you came from who you used to be. Every second you compare, you stall. You pause your growth for a fantasy. You doubt your purpose for someone else's path. And you waste time. Time that could have been spent building, training, healing, evolving. That's the cost of comparison. It robs you of your now. And the present is all you have. If you keep measuring your journey by someone else's progress, you'll miss the miracle that is your own becoming. You want peace? Get out of their lane. You want power? Stay in your own. You want freedom? Stop watching them and start building you. Because the minute you take your eyes off their plate and focus on your own, everything changes. You start to move differently. You start to walk with purpose. You start chasing shadows and start creating substance. Let them do what they do. Let them shine in their own light. There's room for everyone. But your light only shines when it's rooted in authenticity, when it comes from within, not borrowed from someone else's flame. You don't need to compete. You need to create. You don't need to chase. You need to commit to your goals, your grind, your growth. So the next time you feel the pull to compare, stop. Breathe. Remind yourself you are not behind. You are not late. You are not less. You are becoming quietly, relentlessly, in your own lane, at your own pace, by your own rules. That's how legends are made. Discipline demands isolation. Not because you hate people, but because you love your future too much to keep letting distractions steal from it. Growth doesn't happen in a crowd. Mastery doesn't happen with noise around you. Evolution is personal. It's private. And it's brutal. You don't become great by being available to everyone, every time, for everything. Paul Brown became great by stepping away, by shutting the doors, by going ghost when necessary, so you can show up later with something undeniable. There's a reason so few people ever reach their full potential. Most can't handle the silence. They crave attention, they chase validation, they fear being alone with their thoughts. But discipline lives in those quiet hours when no one's watching. It lives in the grind that doesn't get posted, the early mornings that no one praises, the late nights where you choose progress over comfort, and nobody claps for it. Nobody sees it. But that's exactly where champions are made. When you make a real decision to level up, your life starts to rearrange itself. Your priorities change. Your time tightens. Your circle shrinks. It's not personal. It's necessary. Because focus has a cost. And that cost is comfort. That cost is access. That cost is choosing between temporary pleasure and permanent progress. Over and over. Every single day. And the truth is, most people won't understand why you're not around anymore, why you're not replying fast, why you're not hanging out like you used to. Let them misunderstand. You're not building for their approval. You're building for legacy. And you can't build legacy around constant distraction. You can't chase greatness with one eye on your phone and one foot in the past. You've got to be all in, fully committed, fully focused. And that means disappearing from the noise so you can reappear as a different version of yourself. One that's sharper, one that's unshakable, one that doesn't flinch under pressure because they've already endured the fire in silence. This isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's where your habits are formed. It's where your mind gets disciplined. It's where you remove the layers of who you thought you had to be and find out who you really are. You stop performing for the world and you start performing for your purpose. You start looking for motivation and start building systems. You start hoping and you start doing. Now, it's not glamorous. No, it won't always feel good. In fact, some days it'll hurt. It'll feel lonely. You'll wonder if you're doing the right thing. You'll watch others party while you train, while you study, while you build, and you feel the tension, that pull to join them, to relax, to slow down, but you won't, because deep down, you know what you're chasing can't be bought with comfort. It has to be earned with consistency. Every skipped temptation becomes a break. Every lonely night becomes a step. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. And it adds up, slowly, quietly, but eventually it becomes unshakable momentum. It becomes power that no one can take from you, because it wasn't given to you, it was forged in isolation. You want to separate from average, you have to do what average people won't. And most people won't be alone with themselves long enough to do the deep work. Most people won't sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term greatness. But you will. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you dangerous. You're willing to isolate to elevate. You're willing to go dark so you can emerge with light. Remember, the world rewards public victories, but those victories are born in private wars. The battles you fight alone, the decisions you make when nobody is watching, the self-control you enforce when it's just you versus you, that's where transformation lives. So embrace the isolation, own the silence, let the discipline do what motivation never could. Because one day, you'll walk back into the world, and they won't recognize you, not because you changed, but because you finally became everything you were too focused to explain. History's power. There is a unique kind of strength in not being readable, in not being predictable, in keeping your next move to yourself. The more people know about you, the more they think they understand you, and the easier it is for them to place limits on you. The easier it is for them to form opinions, cast judgments, project fears. But when you move in silence, you take all of that away. You become unreadable, untouchable, uncontrollable, and that is a threat the average mind cannot handle. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them fill the gaps in your silence with their own assumptions. That's not your problem, it's your advantage. While they're speculating, you're stacking wins. While they're creating stories about your life, you're writing the real one in silence. You become this quiet force no one can quite figure out. They don't know where you're going. They don't know what you're planning. They don't even know what phase you're in. All they know is something is happening. That presence, without explanation, shakes more rooms than noise ever will. In a world obsessed with attention, your silence becomes rare. In a culture addicted to overexposure, your privacy becomes premium. People give too much of themselves away. They talk too much, they share too soon. They post every move, announce every goal, and narrate every thought. And in doing so, they drain the power out of the very thing they're trying to build. Their life becomes an open book, one anyone can read, criticize, or rewrite. When you stay quiet, You own the pen. You own the blood. They can't attack what they can't see. They can't sabotage what they don't know. They can't copy what they can't trace. Your silence becomes a cloak, not of fear, but of strategy. You protect your vision by concealing your direction, not to hide, but to build, to refine, to grow without interference. Because the truth is, not every process is meant to be witnessed. Some transformations are too sacred for the spotlight. Being silent doesn't mean you lack ambition. It means your ambition is too serious for empty conversations. It means you're done performing. You're done explaining your hunger to people who are full of excuses. You're done sharing your path with people who don't even have one. You're choosing mystery, not to impress, but to progress. Because you understand that real power never announces itself. It just arrives, fully formed, unshakable. When you don't explain yourself, you make people uncomfortable. You break their need to categorize you. You force them to confront the gaps in their understanding. And the beautiful thing is, you don't owe them closure. You don't owe them access. Not everyone deserves to know what you're up to. Not everyone deserves to be updated. Silence is your filter. It reveals who's genuinely rooting for you and who's just curious for the wrong reason. And don't confuse silence with passivity. This is not about doing nothing. This is about doing more without saying more. This is about going all in behind the scenes. So when you do show up, you don't have to talk about it. The work speaks, the results shout, the presence dominates. You won't have to explain what you've been doing. It will be clear the moment you walk in the room. Silence demands discipline. It means resisting the urge to be seen before you're ready. It means building the character to walk your path without applause. But when you master it, when you can live, grow, and thrive in private, you become unstoppable, not because the world is watching, but because it isn't. Because you are your only witness, and that's all you need. So let them keep asking questions. Let them fill the blanks. Let them stay curious. Meanwhile, you move, you build, you prepare. Because when it's time, when your work is undeniable and your growth uncontainable, you won't need to say a single word. Your presence will answer every question. Your silence will make perfect sense. And your results will speak in volumes no noise ever could.